Peace, family. Lions Den here with another news and commentary. Here we go again, people. Another coon at it again. Jesse Lee Peterson said Jesse Lee Peterson said he doesn't believe that racism don't exist. And he says that there's no white privilege. Are you kidding me? I'm going to go ahead and play this video and give you the rest of my commentary.
Does white privilege exist?
Absolutely.
It does.
Absolutely.
And where's the proof of that?
All around. I tell people often now, in hindsight, one of the things that I wish I would have been more cognizant of was the white privilege at UCLA that was sitting, right next to me. For Black people, I believe white privilege is something to leverage.
What is it, though? I don't see it anywhere. What is it?
Huh?
What is it?
How don't you
well,
not
people
see
like me
privilege?
who don't see it.
How do you not see white privilege?
Because it doesn't exist. That's
yes,
what
it does.
So what is it exactly?
Things, I believe white privilege is just the ability just to be free and white and not have the same type of social, economic, and social ills as Black people have to deal with. I mean, there's no white racial profiling. White people don't get pulled over by the cops just because they're white. They have the ability to, show emotion and love to their sons without being emasculated. There's all kind of examples of white privilege. Absolutely. Why don't you Black? How come you don't believe white privilege exists? What you see?
Well, because I am Black in color, but I don't have that dark mentality that most Black people have.
Clearly.
I see, she said clearly, I see that white people have the same struggles and things that we have in that.
What type of struggles do they have?
They have to make their marriages work. They have to make their children, help their kids grow up in the right way so that they can earn a living and be independent.
But they also have the majority of their fathers at home.
Right, and the reason for that, it's starting to change somewhat now, but the reason for that is because they are taking responsibility for that, whereas Black men and women are not taking responsibility for that, as they did prior to the Civil Rights Movement. Black people are blaming it on their lack of self-control and self-containment. They're blaming it on white people, while white people are working hard to keep it going.
I do believe that there is a need for Black people to be held more accountable.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that doesn't excuse racism, that doesn't excuse institutionalized racism, that doesn't excuse...
But there's no such thing as that. It's an illusion made up by Black people and their leaders.
No, it's not. It exists.
Well,
sorry.
Where's the proof of it, though?
What do you mean, where's the proof of it?
There are many kids who are getting into, Black kids who are allowed to get into these universities around the country, right, based on affirmative action. And because of affirmative action based on their color, that's discrimination based on color, and that's wrong. And these kids are getting in, but they're not earning their way, so when they fail, they feel less than before they were allowed to get in based on color.
I'm a proud product of affirmative action. When I went to UCLA, it was because I was an affirmative action student.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And I think I turned out fantastic. So a lot of my peers who were having challenges getting into some of these predominantly white institutions, the affirmative action was great. My father went to Harvard. He was one of very few Blacks.
Was he affirmative action?
I don't know if he was. That was back in the late 60s.
Well, then he wasn't. He earned his way.
So, that being said, I still believe that affirmative action helped me get into UCLA, and it gave me access.
You would not have gotten in there on your own because you were not smart enough?
I don't know if I wasn't smart enough, but based on the curve and what I was competing with other individuals who had different educational opportunities and teachers. I mean, I'm coming from, the LA Unified School District. I mean, so at the time, I think LAUSD was still pretty good. But I went to all white schools from high school up through college. So you got a good
education. Why couldn't you get into the school based on your own talent?
I don't know. Maybe because I didn't have some of the opportunity.
But you had the opportunity.
No, well, first of all,
you had the same opportunity those white kids were having.
Not necessarily. I had different teachers. I had different resources.
So you went to a white integrated school.
I'm talking about going into these other, into UCLA. I still had to be able to deal with some of the issues and going to predominantly white schools.
Like
but
what?
I still had to be able to compete.
Like what?
What do you mean, like what?
Some of the issues going to a predominantly
When I would graduate from University High School, and at the time they didn't have an African American student union.
An African American student union
At the school.
Well, that's a good thing.
They didn't have one.
That's a good thing.
Why?
Why do you need something like that?
They have Asian student unions. They have Jewish student unions. They have all kind of different.
Did they have white
unions.
student union?
They need student union. They own the whole school. So
but the kids didn't own the school. The kids didn't.
But I'm saying there's nothing. I don't think there's nothing wrong with having a segregated, population of students who just want to study together, or work together, or to be able to.
Would you be in support of a white student union?
Yeah, of course.
It would be okay with you?
Yeah, why not?
But most blacks don't feel that way.
I think all cultures should be able to segregate and to be able to work within their cultures and network within their own cultures. Absolutely.
Does racism exist?
I believe racism does exist.
And where's the proof of that?
You just see it all over in the country, the proof of it.
Where do I see it?
Disproportionate in the economics with black people.
But that has nothing to do with racism.
It is. Racism is about power. It's about who's in control. And black people can't be racist because we're not in control. We're not in control of the educational system, some of the social organizations and things that run this country. We're not in control. Racism is about power.
But you would be in control of your own life if you had good parents, if they taught you how to be independent, if they taught you how to build, how to take care of. I've noticed that the reason I left where I lived over there in the Crenshaw district is that once the white people left, because once I moved there, when I first moved there, it was mostly whites. But once they left, as they did in Gary, Indiana, and other places, the blacks turned it into a ghetto. A beautiful area went to hell in a handbasket, so I got out. But if blacks had more character and they were taking care of themselves and being responsible and buying land and teaching their children.
That has to be taught.
Then, right, so that has nothing to do with racism.
But that has to, of course, that has to be taught.
So it's not racist. It's not white people's fault that you're not teaching your children to do that.
No, but it's not, if the parents don't know.
They don't know. But that's not white people's fault, though.
But if they go into some of these institutions, these predominantly white institutions, they are targeted. They don't have the same opportunities because of their color. It's true. I mean,
so then why go in there then? Why not go to an all-black school if you
some
feel
people
that?
do choose to do that.
I'm sorry?
Some people do choose. That's
well, why you see a lot of these black kids going to these white universities, and then they force their way in by saying, I need affirmative action. Once they get in, now they crying racism. Why do you want to force your way in with the people you think are your enemies, and you're still complaining once you get there?
I don't think people are forcing their way. Does affirmative action even exist?
Is forced based on color.
Does affirmative action even exist? Are people getting in based on affirmative action?
Yes.
Today,
otherwise they wouldn't be there.
The way Trump has it down, he's just leveled the playing field. So it is going to have to be more about being able to be competitive.
Hallelujah.
Where can I start? Jesse Lee Peterson, you're one of the most dumbest coon I've ever known in my entire life. First of all, you said that racism doesn't exist, which it does. This is what's happening. Look what's going on when it comes to police violence, police shootings, unarmed black men being murdered by police. People refuse to eat service at a restaurant. People coming in at a store doesn't even trying to get the right. They couldn't even allow them to get the right medicine, accusing them of stealing. People call police for no apparent reason, and that's not racism. And then he also says that there's no white privilege. Really? So if the white person did the same thing that a black person did, and then he'll get the slap on the wrist, or you get 4 years probation, or you get 2 years without imprisonment. Was that white privilege? Or there's incident if a white person was raped, or any woman, no matter what color they are, if a white person raped any woman and only get 4 years probation for it, is that white privilege? Or if a person yell at a cop, argue with a cop, and cuss him out, and then let them walk, isn't that white privilege? See, you got black guys like him, that basically try to ignore reality. This is why I said the coons like him is trying to ignore everything that has been done. That racism doesn't exist. That basically white privilege doesn't exist. And the black woman, the sister right there, is tearing him up. Actually, she's tearing him up with two beans in a pie. Obviously, why would you think racism? Why would you claim that racism doesn't exist when it does? Institutionalized and everything. Why would you think that, white privilege doesn't exist? That it does. That blacks couldn't get away with it, but whites can. You see, guys, ladies and gentlemen, you got guys like him who always think craziness and who really, let's just keep it real. He's a coon, plain and simple. He's a straight up COON, and you got guys like that believe that way. And Malcolm X said it best when he's talking about the house Negro, and when he says that it's the house Negro and the field Negro. The house Negro lives in the house with his master. When master say that, he say, "Oh yes, master, yeah, I'm sick. Yeah, master, we sick." The field Negro will fight till the day that he or she die for their people. But yet one of them house Negroes say, "Why would we leave now? Why are we leaving? We got good things over here." So the way I think about it is that Jesse Lee Peterson is a house Negro. He's basically a house Negro. He's a coon that don't believe racism exists or white. Next thing he gonna say is white supremacy don't exist. I guarantee you, this is the same person gonna say something like that. White supremacy don't exist. Guys, let's keep it real. Sometimes we do have to basically separate what we're doing right now, because obviously you got guys like and this is the problem. We got guys like Jesse Lee Peterson is far gone. We gotta leave them where they are. You gotta leave all these other coons where they are right now. And this is the perfect example of a black person you don't want to be like. Seriously. That they don't know their history or they don't know where they're coming from. And then he has his talk show, and then guess what? I think Jesse Lee Peterson himself confronted a woman at a protest rally, if I'm not mistaken, and calling her a racist. You're a racist, but then turn around and tell the sister there racism doesn't exist or white privilege doesn't exist. But you confronted about months ago, you confronted a woman in a protest rally and you call her a racist. You think you're offended because your racist values. I'm telling you. Sometimes people, we need to get away from these coons and focus on us. Because obviously what they're going to do is, these coons that talk like that, it's the same coons that are going to get us killed. Seriously, they're going to get us killed or get us in serious trouble. We got to stay away from these coons. We got to lead them what they are. And obviously, it's like we can't trust anybody. It's like we got to stay of our own. Well, tell me what you think about this video. Share this video. Subscribe my YouTube channel. Subscribe my reaction channel, and subscribe my Black Junction channel for all the news and commentary. With that being said, this is Lions is signing off. Deuces.